sweetheart. What can I get you?
I'd like to order a triple shot of Irish and get absolutely smashed. But that's not becoming to a nursing mother. I'll have a glass of milk. A big one.
You got it. Hey, sweetheart, this ought to do you.
Thanks.
You got a mustache.
A milk mustache? Used to say that when we were little. I guess I'll say it to Ryan someday. Her father won't, that's for sure.
You ready to give up on him, darling?
I don't have much choice, do I?
I know it's hard. Maybe it's for the best. Huh? Thinking how often I've seen that sad look on your beautiful young face. Ever since you met him. More since you married him. All the time you were carrying his baby. And what's he ever given you but a string of broken promises, huh?
No, Da, that's where you're wrong. There was a lot of good stuff, too. Jack hasn't broken any promises to me, up till now. He told me how he felt about the baby. He was completely straight about that. I set myself up to be hurt by having unrealistic expectations.
Well, it seems to me I had a right to expect some interest, huh?
No.
No?
But I did expect him to keep on loving me. That he did promise. He said he'd love me and trust me and stay with me. Once he'd made the commitment to marriage. I did expect that.
If I was here right now, I'd wring his no-good neck for him.
Da, don't, please.
Sorry. Just wish there was something, anything in the world I could do to make you stop torturing yourself over that man.
I love him. And he did go to see the baby. That's something, anyway.
You had to do it, didn't you, huh?
Giovanni.
Yeah, you went straight to Mary. You told her everything, right?
Hey, Ben, to see the kid. Everything's just hunky-dory. Don't worry about a thing, sweetheart.
Jumbo, you have any idea what you've done, huh?
I couldn't stand seeing Mary hurt. You love her? When are you gonna wise up?
When am I gonna... When are you gonna get smart and mind your own business? You know what I gotta do now? I gotta hurt Mary plenty, and all I want you to know is you're responsible.
I don't understand you, Giovanni. I'm ashamed of you.
All right, I had enough of that, Jumbo. You got no business trying to run my life.
You used to take my advice.
I'm not a kid anymore.
Well, stop acting like a kid.
You stop acting like a Johnny Ryan at Brooklyn Docks. You had no business meddling like that. Just when I was starting to cool things down, now I'm gonna have to do something to hurt both Mary and me.
What are you gonna do?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to find something to convince her that there's no hope left.
Why do you need to go on acting crazy?
Because Mary asked for it. Because you set her up. Tell me how to stop loving you. That's what she said to me. Well, I can't tell her how, Jumbo. I'm gonna have to show her how.
Don't you think I'd stop loving Jack now if I could? Don't you think I want to?
Well, darling, if you want to, then do it. I mean, I've never known you not to be able to do something you wanted to do.
Yeah? How about my marriage?
Well, you gotta stop blaming yourself. I mean, that's crazy. Finelli never raised a finger to try and make it work.
That's not true, Doc. Jack did a lot of adjusting. He'd been used to a completely different lifestyle.
Yeah, some life. He's practically a hermit.
You see? That's what none of us could understand. There's a part of Jack that always was and always will be a loner. He kept telling me he needed his privacy, but did I respect that? No.
You told me that what he really wanted was a family.
Part of him did, and he was slowly coming out of his shell, but it wasn't fast enough for me. So before I could realize what I was doing, I just pushed and pushed until he couldn't stand it. He never believed my pregnancy was an accident. He thought it was part of the campaign.
Well, that's just ridiculous. I mean, so suppose you did get pregnant before you intended to. You can't be sorry you've got that beautiful child up there.
I'm sorry she doesn't have a father. Oh, Doc, you know me, I hate to make mistakes, especially ones this size. And I handled the whole marriage wrong, right from the start.
Well, I still don't see that it's your fault.
Oh, you're so loyal sometimes, it's funny. The fact is, Jack did love me in his way. And I couldn't accept it the way it was. People have a right to be what they are. Oh, I was so stupid. Why did I try to change him when I fell in love with him the way he is?
So happens I never saw what you saw in a man. Never deserved you.
Da, I could enumerate Jack's good qualities, some of which are the same as yours. But that's not the reason I love him. Loving isn't about reasons or deserving it. Did you think when you married Mother, I love her because she is XYZ? Or I'll marry her because she deserves me?
I could have made a very long list of her fine qualities. As for deserving, I only hoped I deserved her.
Can you say why you loved her? Why you married her?
Of course, I think I married her. I married her because she was absolutely enchanting. She still is. And I loved her more than I could talk about. And by some miracle, she loved me.
It was the same for Jack and me.
Well, if that's the way it is, I'm truly sorry it's turned out this way.
Yeah?
Well, look, sweetheart, there's going to be a christening for the baby pretty soon. Maybe Jack will show up for that, huh? I mean, he did come to the hospital. He saw the baby, right? He did come to take you home. If he couldn't follow through on it. Maybe this is one time he won't disappoint you.
Now you are getting unrealistic.
Well, sweetheart, he was brought up by the nuns, right? Now, a baptism is something he can't turn his back on.
Oh, I'm not going to let myself in for that again. We'll have the baptism. We'll have the christening party. And it will be the joyous time it should be. I won't spend it waiting and hoping for Jack to show up.
Well, look who's here. Tom Desmond, voice of Riverside Hospital. Sit yourself down there and try and get my daughter out of this gloom, she said.
I'd be delighted. How are you?
Like the man said, gloomy, but holding my own.
Good. Have a pretzel. Keep your strength up.
I'm plenty strong, and I have 5 pounds to lose.
Now, listen here. Don't you lose it by skipping lunch. Look, I got a couple errands to run. Tom, what I want you to do is see that this child gets a proper balanced meal. And have one yourself, will you?
Okay.
On the house.
Thanks. Do you want to eat lunch and tell me about it?
Hey, Bobby.
Or eat lunch and talk about something else?
I got about an hour. I got a couple of things to do.
Something else. Anything.
Cabbages and kings. That's what I'd like. Some of Maeve's good corned beef.
I'm getting so I can tell her cries apart. It's really fascinating.
You're learning to understand a language.
Exactly, and that's just what it is. She has her I'm a little wet and uncomfortable cry, which is sort of a fussy whimper. And then there's her desperate, I'm hungry, and if you don't feed me this instant, I'll expire.
End of the world.
Oh, not quite. End of the world is total rage. She also turns red with that one. It's usually along the lines of, I'm lying on my bear and it hurts.
You sound like a very good mother.
All seems very natural to me. I don't see why being a father should be so hard.
Well, I suppose it's the idea of all that responsibility. I understand there's going to be a christening.
Yes, my sister Kathleen's coming up from Pittsburgh. It'll be a terrific time.
With Ryan in an infant seat on top of the bar.
Where else? Will you come, Tom? It should be one of our better parties.
Yeah, I'd love to, thanks. It's a bit like being home again watching the Ryans gather round.
Well, we're all going to be here, except my sister Siobhan. She's in Oregon.
That's a bit of a commute.
Siobhan would get here if she could. We Ryans take our celebrations very seriously.